rise one day at a time. Kimmy Kim and Elations Radio. They're here to get your day going fine. Kimmy Kim and Elations Radio. Kimmy Kim and Elations Radio. Kimmy Kim and Elations Radio. And here's your host, Miss Kim Robinson.
Jehovah, my All right. Happy Saturday. Happy Saturday. Happy Saturday. I am so happy that you are spending 60 minutes, give or take, of your 1,000. I am so happy that you are spending 60 minutes, give or take, of your 1,440 minutes that you get each day. Um, I hope that everyone is being safe. Stay inside if you don't have to be outside. Cover your mouth when you cough and sneeze. And if you happen to be in one of those states or areas that is open, go slow. Go slow. There's no rush to be out. Just take your time, take some extra precautions. I want to be able to see you and hear you once we move into our new normal. I'm thank you all again for joining me. So, I am so excited about who my guest is today. You know, I always try to bring you guys somebody very special, somebody that's going to inspire, enrich, give some good information or good resources. Who I have on the line today is Sandra Lee Curse Stockton. She is a retired lieutenant colonel from the United States Army. Miss Sandra, are you there?
I am, thank you.
Yay! So I am so glad that you're here. How are you feeling today?
I'm pretty good, no problems. It's kind of hot here in
Oh,
Maryland,
that
but
is
pretty good.
cool. That is good. Is Maryland one of those areas that has opened up?
No, not yet.
Well, I wish Texas wouldn't be going so fast, but here we are. So I want to give everybody a real quick bio of who you are and why I'm so excited because we talked briefly a couple of days ago. And then when I got your bio, I said that I was going to wait the next day and look at it. I say, oh, oh, I was expecting, I was pleasantly surprised. So Miss Stockton, as I said, she is a retired lieutenant colonel in the United States Army. She was in the reserves in the nurse corps. Is that correct? Did I get
That's
that
correct.
part right? Okay. I wanted to be a nurse in my former life. That didn't work out, but so she was honorably discharged in 1994.
I was honorably discharged from the active duty Army in 1994 and then switched to the reserves until 2009.
Oh. Oh, wow.
That's okay.
So I'm just looking over it, and I'm just like in awe. You were in the Air Force for 8 years. You were in the Army for 20 years and the National Guard for 2 years.
That's correct.
You must have done a lot of travel.
A lot.
Can you tell me maybe some of the places that you have gone?
Well, I was stationed in Korea, South Korea, in 91, 92. I've been to China, Hong Kong, Japan. Can't remember where else overseas, but many places stateside. So stateside bases,
right.
Fort Eustis, Virginia, Fort Belvoir, in Virginia. I was in San Antonio in Air Force. Some of my schooling was in San Antonio. So I've been a lot of places. Are you looking for stateside information? Because states, I can't even list all the states I've been in.
You
saw
probably
somebody.
lived. You probably lived a lot of places. We were military kids for a couple of years, so I know even as military kids, we traveled a lot. Even, excuse me, although my parents divorced when I was like 7, we still lived a lot of places from the time that I was born up until 7. So you get the experience of being around a lot of different people, places, things, and cultures. I think that was one of the for me that was one of the best memories about being a military kid was the different places that you got to go.
That's what my kids always tell me. My military brats, they said they got to meet a lot of people and been a lot of places. So it is a good thing on that part, but it is also hard when they leave places and have to make new friends as kids. Did you find that a
Right.
problem? That's hard.
I did, but what it allowed me to do is I can blend in anywhere. It allows me to blend well. Sometimes I may pick up an accent within a matter of days,
Right.
just by being in the place, and I think that's caused by that.
Right, I'm sure.
So, what does a snapshot of your beginnings look like? Could you tell me what that looks like?
Let me tell you a little bit. I am the second of 7 children, 6 girls and 1 boy, and the boy was the last child born to my mother, Dorothy, and my father, William. My dad was a long-haul truck driver. My mother was a homemaker, then a single mother, and she did hair and cleaned homes to make ends meet. She left my father when I was 10. I was a mother of 4 and widowed by the time I was 19. My traumatic experience with domestic violence was so real. But as a child, when you're going through things like that, there's not much you can do about it. I'm sure with my age, there are probably many women and men who went through the same things because 1940s and 1950s, men abused families and there wasn't too much done about it. The police thought way back then that if the police came to your house, he figured a man's house is his castle. They didn't come in like they do today to inspect to see if anybody was hurt. I witnessed domestic violence as my siblings did to a helpless degree. I mean, you couldn't do anything. I knew then, though, as a child, especially at 10, when my mother did leave, that I was in the trenches and I was in there with her. I knew one day there was no way I was going to be in that situation that she was in. I was determined to get out of that. That wasn't going to happen. That's pretty much who I am.
So, based on the year that I had heard you mention, could you tell my my listening audience how old you are?
Now? I'll
Yes,
be
ma'am.
71, I think, in 31 days. Or maybe, but not that long. Yeah, maybe 31 days. Yeah, something like that.
Happy birthday!
Thank you. June 14th.
I'm gonna have to call you. Let me put it on my calendar right now, June 14th.
Okay.
I am gonna call you, so don't be surprised. You might be surprised because you probably don't believe I'm gonna call you.
No. You say you will. Maybe.
So, you have a book that's coming up.
I have a book
Can you
that's
tell
coming
us
out.
about? Can you tell us
the
about that book?
manuscript is completed. However, right now it's going through reviews, editing and reviews. So once we get through that part, then we go to the publisher to do the rest of it. So we're hoping that's going to be out maybe the first week in July or so. My book is about my birth to I'd say early 20s. That's what my book is about. I'm actually writing 3 books. That's going to be the first of the 3. And that's the part of my life I'm going to cover in that book.
Oh, wow. So why have you decided to open up and put your lessons onto paper for your upcoming book or books in this case?
You know, looking back, I think that there are so many women who, as I am, been through a lot of things and turned out okay and are pretty strong. I think that someone out there is in their darkest moment thinking that they cannot make it. But they have no comparison to someone who has been dealing with or maybe dealt with 10 times worse than what they're going through. They just don't believe they can make it. I want to show people in the book that I am living proof that if you muster up all your resilience and persevere, no matter what anyone tells you, you can and will make it. It doesn't matter where you are or what you've been through. All you have to do is keep in mind that you have a goal and don't give up, because the minute you say, I quit, you're done. You can't quit. Success does not have to be out of reach for anybody. I mean, you don't have to be financially rich to be happy and successful. That's what people need to understand. You don't have to be. You can be that successful person. no matter what.
Yeah, that's true. Your success is only how you perceive your success. What I perceive
Exactly.
success at may not necessarily be what other people deem as successful. There are so many people that have material, and that looks like success, but how does your success feel? That's what's important to me. How does it feel?
I agree.
So have you touched someone? I think I am excited for your books. I am sure that they are going to touch someone, because I just believe that our life is not just for us, and it's just the way our experience allows us to share with other people and help them along the way.
I believe that, and I believe also that when we're born, our journey is already set. Where we're going, it's already
Mhm.
there. We just don't know it, but it's already set. The path is set. I believe that.
Yeah, I would agree. In your last year as a teenager, at the age of 19, you met many challenges that many wouldn't have faced in a lifetime. Tell us about what that did to motivate you in your days to come.
Well, at June the 14th, 1969, I turned 19, and I had 3 children. And my first husband was shot. He was actually shot 6 times in front of me and my children and my sister, one of my sisters. That was devastating. That was really hard because I was young, so I didn't expect anything like that to happen. But when that happened and getting to the funeral and everything, I just became reckless. I really didn't care. At that point, I didn't want the kids, and I just didn't know what I was going to do, but I couldn't just be me. I started fooling around with a neighbor. I got pregnant. His entire family denied it, and I felt really defeated because I knew better. But I felt trapped and I wasn't paying attention because I didn't care at that time. But I got a reality check when I was pregnant. My daughter, Carmen Trina, was only 3 months old when I got pregnant. I went to see my mom because I was like, I don't want these kids, Mom. I can't do this. And she looked at me and she said, let me tell you something, Sandra Lee. And whenever she was upset, she'd call me Sandra Lee. Or any of my sisters, they got the whole name. That means she's upset. You need to pay attention. She said, I never once even dreamt about giving you or your sisters or your brother to anyone ever. Don't you even ever try to think like that and talk to me about that, because you could not give these kids away because I did not give you away. So what are you going to do? And even though I wasn't talking to her, I was listening to her, I was shaking my head, giving her a nod like, I understand what you're saying, Mom, but I'm not you. I'm not as strong as you. And I kept looking at her, and she said, so what are you going to do? You're going to keep these kids, right? I said, I'm going to try, Mom. I'm going to try. And that was pretty much my reality check. It's like, I'm still there, and she was still standing after what she'd been through. I had no excuse not to figure this all out and get in touch with myself, hold on to my kids. I had no reason not to do it. So my mother was my reality check. She just brought something deep out of me when she said, I never gave you away. That's pretty much how I felt about that.
Yeah, wow. That was a hard check.
Yeah.
And that's a hard conversation that sometimes we need to have. Don't give up, to not even just on your children, but on your dreams, on the desires of your heart. Just don't give up. Sometimes you are just right there at the diamond, and you just stop right there. There's just a little bit further to go.
Exactly.
Wow.
And you could be there. And there's going to be times that, we're going to feel bad, we're going to get knocked down, and we're going to feel like we just cannot stand up. But you can stand up as many times as you have to.
So what do you think, besides that, was your motivation to get up every time? Because we're all knocked down, What do you think was your main motivator, or your main couple of motivators to say, don't stop, you got this?
My 4 children. My children. They were innocent and babies. And just looking at them, it's like, hey, this is part of me. I needed to stay strong and figure out what I was going to do and hold on to my kids. I always prayed for God to let me see my kids grow up to adulthood, and that happened. That happened for me.
So I know you have children. So do you have grandchildren?
I have 3 living children. I have 18 grandchildren and 10 great grandchildren.
Oh, wow. That is so exciting. I only have 3 grandchildren, and it'll be a long time because the baby's a year old. It'll be maybe a minute before I see any great grandchildren.
Yeah.
But your children and your grandchildren, are you creating a legacy for them, or what type of legacy are you developing for them?
Well, I want this book to be part of that legacy for him. You know, I always say, in my family, anyways, pretty much in my family, we don't have a lot of money, so we don't have generational wealth to pass on to our children. So I figured if I could pass on some generational intellect to my children, that would be better than money that they could spend. Because once you spend the money, it's gone. But once you have the book, you have the
Mhm.
memory indefinitely. And I feel like I need
Mhm.
to, like my ancestors did for me, and probably yours for you, put stuff in our repository DNA to help us to know which way to go, which way to travel. So this book is going to be a directional tool for my children, grandchildren, and generations of grandchildren that come in my family. And not only for me and my children, but for all my siblings and their children, because we all shared the same mother and father. So a lot of my story and where I'm going and where I've been affects them all. So that's very important to
Mhm.
me. I think that's better than money.
Yeah, that you are on the right track with the intellectual legacy because nobody can take that away from you.
No.
There is a an artist. What is his name? Nas. He's a rapper back when I was growing up. So what he has done, he has pinned his daughter as one of the writers. So whenever
Okay.
Nas is long gone, she'll reap the benefits of his writing that he started, I think, maybe back when he was 15.
Wow.
So I thought that was really smart, and that's what made me start investigating how that actually works. So that is
Right.
really, really great.
That's definitely
It
important.
has, yeah, it's very important. Sometimes we think legacy is about money,
Right.
or material, but it's
Exactly.
a part of it, but that's not all of it. Good
Exactly.
memories,
Memories are very important.
picnics, laughter. To me, those things are important, and that's what I hope that when I'm dead and gone, that's what my children and my grandchildren that they share along with the books
Yeah.
and whatever wealth that I'm trying to acquire for them right now. So, what do you say would have been your biggest challenges over your entire adult life, and how did you overcome them?
Well, I think there are 2 big ones for me, and that was again, I go back to my children because they were my soul when they were babies and growing up. And my biggest challenge was for me to not only see them grow up, but help guide them in the direction they needed to go, and let them know that I was there to support them as long as I needed to be there. It didn't matter the age. As long as I needed to be there for them, I was going to be there for them. I also think that I got through that because it was meant to be. I always prayed all the time. I was a child of God way back a long time ago when I was a little girl. When my father used to beat my mother in that house, I always prayed to somebody to make him leave her alone. So I've always been in touch with the Holy Spirit in one way or the other. The other biggest challenge for me was when my mother, Dorothy, and my sister Dorothy, my sister was named after my mother, they died in a tragic house fire in 1992, February, when I was stationed in Korea. That was the most horrible thing to hear because I heard it on the phone from my children who were in the United States. And they all somehow chimed in on the same phone call. So when I was talking to them in Korea, I was talking to my 4 children in 3 different states and my nephew in another state. They were telling me as they were watching my nephew and my mother's house burn up and telling me that they had taken 2 bodies out of the house. I was devastated. And the worst thing was getting on the plane and going to the United States for 18 hours and getting there and knowing what I had to face. That was horrible. But riding back to Korea 30 days later to my duty station was 10 times worse because now I knew I would never see them again. Never. And when I got back to Korea, I went to a place called the Dragon Inn. It was a hotel in Korea, and they had a casino. And I used to like to go to the casino. So when I got back off the plane and got to the post, I went to the casino, but I didn't go in. It was on the first floor. I don't know what made me get on the elevator and go to the second floor, but I did. And I was up there at the second floor, just standing there looking out of the hotel window, just looking out pretty and everything, and I was just like stunned. I don't know how long I stood there, but I knew tears were coming down my face, and I was just thinking and thinking and thinking. And this young white soldier put his hand on my shoulder, and he said, "Ma'am," because I was still in uniform, "are you okay?" I heard him, but I didn't look into his saying, "Ma'am," about the third time, and I said, "Oh, I'm good, thank you." And then I wiped my face off, got in the elevator, went back downstairs through the hotel lobby, and walked back to my place where I lived. That was the most unbearable thing, and to this day, I can tell you that it's with me consistently, but it's on a shelf in my brain where I can deal with it. I will never forget that experience, but I have so much love for my sister and my mother that it helped me to get myself through what I was going through so I can think of the good things, the positive things. And to this day, I can deal with that. I mean, I don't just break down and cry like I did for years. Now I'm okay. I know it's okay. That's how I dealt with that. Pretty much traded that sorrow for the love of them.
That was such strength.
It was. It was horrible.
Ooh, I think I'm about to cry.
Don't cry. It's okay.
Because I could only imagine. And you just kept going. What was your focus that allowed you to keep going?
Because I'm a person that when something bad happens or something comes my way, I just have to be busy. I have to be busy. If I'm busy enough every day, day in and day out, I'm busy, I deal with it and I settle down inside emotionally. I mean, my psychiatric self was really challenged, but I knew I still had things I needed to do.
Wow. What is, when you tell your story, not to me or just to anyone, what is your why every time you tell your story?
I think why is because I want to let people know that life is not easy. Life is not a picnic. It's a journey. I want them to understand that there's struggles, and there will always be struggles, and that they need to understand that.
Whew. Man.
You okay?
I
like letting people know where I'm from and what I'm about. Because so many times, like I'm telling my story to somebody who thinks they're like down on their luck or they need a little push. So I'll tell my stories to help them to get through where they're going, to help them to be stronger and help them to understand that it's okay to fall. It's okay to cry. It's okay. It's okay to take that drink if you got to. But whatever you need to do to get yourself on track, you need to do that. Because I have truly had struggle after struggle after struggle. And my siblings shared some of those struggles with me on the personal front with losing our mother and our sister. We've all been through a lot. When my 2 oldest children, Kimmy Jo and Kevin Scott, were in Head Start in York, Pennsylvania, I remember going to the program and talking to Miss Williams, the director, and saying, I want to be involved. I want to meet people. I want to do speeches for you. I want to talk at your PTA meetings. I want to do whatever I need to do to learn as much as I need to learn. So I started really young, trying to be an advocate for people. I feel like I have that strength, that inner strength, that helps me to be strong enough for myself and strong enough for others also. And it's just a part of me. It's just a part of my makeup. I want to educate as many people as I can, not just women, but anybody living with the deck stacked against them from the start. I want my story to resonate enough within my listeners to be the catalyst they need to reach their goals. They need to understand that the goal is there at the goalpost. And as I said before, I don't care how many times you fall down or trip or whatever, get up. Keep getting up. And don't let nobody tell you you can't be successful. Just keep right on getting up and going and do what you need to do to get where you're going. That's how I feel about life, period.
This is so great. I'm not crying tears of sadness. I'm just so excited for you.
Thank you so much.
So when I renamed my show, because I have another show on a different platform, Next Level. So Next Level for me is moving to your next best level, because you have lived a long life and done so many, many things. What would be your next level right now?
I guess my next level would be to finish the 2 books. I don't know where I want to go from here. I don't know what's next, you know. I guess every day that I wake up, I'm truly happy to be on earth. I'm truly glad that God woke me up. And whatever comes that day, I'm just going to do. Because right now, I'm not tied to a day job. I did that for many, many years. And it's just me, you know, and I'm okay. And I like change. I can still walk on my own. I still have my own teeth, you know, so I want to do things. But I don't know what. I don't know what's next. I guess it'll show itself to me eventually because, as I said earlier, our journey is already set. I don't know what's next, really. But I'm okay with it. I'm going to be okay with ever.
Wow. I am just so in awe. I am honored that you would speak to little old me.
Of course.
I could just imagine you. I can't wait till this is over so I can finally actually get out and meet you.
I'll be looking forward to that.
I'm looking, and it looks like you were a foster parent?
I was for over 100 children. My husband and I, my current husband. Yes.
It seems to me, and this is just my snapshot on our conversation right now in this moment, that you were put on this earth for community. And I think that we all were put on the earth for community, for different parts of community.
Right.
Because for you to have fostered children from December 1994 to December 2019, 100 children, or probably even more.
Yes.
It's hard enough to raise your own kids. And
That's true.
got three grown ones, and you know where they come from. You know them. But what was that? That was a heart thing. What was that for your heart to open up and say, I want to help some children. I don't know anything about them. They could have been abused. They could have been molested. They could have had some domestic issue, or it could have been something as simple as a parent was sick, because now that's what's happening. A parent is sick and the kid may miss a lot of days of school, so they take the kid away from the parent because they can't always get them to school. What was that heart thing that said to you, this is what I want to do?
Well, the hard thing was when I was an adult, I might have been just before I went to Korea or maybe somewhere close. I can't remember exactly. But my mother told me she was a foster child, her and her sister and her brother. She had never told me and my siblings that story, ever. And I'm like, you were a foster child? Why, you know? And she said that she was a foster child and that her brother was treated so badly. She said her and her sister, which is her older sister, my Aunt Almeda, who's passed, and her brother, younger Clifford, is passed. They're all three passed now. That they were treated pretty good, but the brother was treated horrible. And one day when I came out off of active duty in 1994, my now husband and I had no children in the house. It was like really quiet. I mean, like quiet. So I saw this story in the newspaper in December 1994 where they were looking for this foster care program was looking for parents to take in a Caucasian young lady who was pregnant by an Afro-American boy, and they could not place her. So I made a phone call next day. I thought about it, read it in the paper over and over, and I called, and they said they'd like for me to come in to meet them. And if I'm really interested, go to them class, and they can see if they can place her with me. Well, I found out later that was like just a sham to get foster parents, but I went in, did the classes, became a foster parent, my husband and I, and we just took care of kids, and I vowed that I would never hurt a foster child like foster parents hurt my mother, her sister, and brother. I would never treat anybody bad. So I got into it, and I started liking it, and then there was kids in the house again. So sometimes we'd have like one kid, two kids, and sometimes up to three at one time. And everybody always came to us, they say, like, you had so many children. But the program I was in, your children came to you for like 30 days to a year. So I've had some kids for a year, some for 30 days, some for 6 months, all different times. The majority of the younger kids I had recently were all here for like at least a year. And we've had every nationality, Caucasian, Black, Hispanic, Chinese. We've had all different kids in our home. And the thing about that, when they placed the first foster child with us, she was Caucasian. She requested to live in a house with no children. So I guess she had it bad at her home, her real home, with her sisters and brothers. So we got that child. And they didn't really want to place her because she was white and we were black. But they didn't have nowhere to put her, so they let her place us in our house. And so from that point on, we just had foster kids. And we have a lot of foster kids who reach us on social media. We're in touch with many of them, more than 50. And they all do what they do. Hey, Mom. Hey, Dad, when they're looking for money or help. We're the parents. We were the parents for that time. So I help the ones I can, the ones I think are not just playing games. But that's what made me do it, knowing that my mother and her sister and her brother were foster children. It just broke my heart to think that she went through that and never said anything. And maybe when I was a young child, maybe my mother got beat so much by my dad because she didn't know nothing to do but cower because she was in a foster home. She probably cowered then, thinking somebody's going to hit you or for something you did wrong. You had nowhere to go. So I could understand her history when I was older. But that's why we did foster care, and we loved it. But now we're back to kid-free home, just us.
There is just so much that I'm just looking at your bio, and what I always say is when we die, we have our birth date on the headstone and our death date. That little bitty hyphen should not reflect what your entire life was.
Exactly.
So you are definitely living, ING, your hyphen.
Yes.
The first African American female to head the Department of Justice.
No, the health unit.
What was that?
That was when you were talking about when Barack was in the president. And we're talking about the part about Loretta Lynch, the first Afro-American black woman who ran the Department of Justice in Washington, D.C. for the United States.
Yes.
Her name was Loretta Lynch. Yes.
Right.
Yes. That was an exciting time at the Department of Justice then because, not too many were feeling her being there. But she was wonderful.
When is your book coming out? Because I want to buy it.
Well, like I said, my book coach said we're going to shoot for the first week in July. That's what we're going to shoot for.
So what I'm going to do when your book comes out, the first one.
Okay.
I'm going to have you back.
Okay.
And I'm going to buy some for myself And
Okay.
the listeners, they call in, I'm going to give them your book.
Oh, okay. Wonderful.
Is
Thank
that a
you.
deal?
Absolutely. It's a
Okay.
great
I
deal.
want you to come back. Man, I love you.
Thank you.
You
I
have
will come
just,
back. The name of
I
the
am
name of
so
my book,
happy.
this first book, the name of my book is
Mhm.
480 Cador Street. And that was the address in York, Pennsylvania, that I
Mhm.
lived right after I was born. So that's why it's named that. And plus, there are many friends that I have from that era who are in my book, characters in my book, because I talk about my childhood and my friendship and things, getting to 20s, 22, 23. So I have lots of memories there, but I have lots of memories for people I grew up with also. Good memories.
I am so excited. Well, you have my number. I have your
I do.
number. We have email addresses. So you keep me abreast so I can buy a few of your books. And
Okay.
I'm telling my listeners in advance. I haven't gotten any texts. They are probably just as enthralled as I am at this moment. I haven't had any texts, and there haven't been any calls in, but that's fine because now I've had you to myself.
Awesome.
I had you all to myself. I cannot wait for this. So when your next book comes out, when this book comes out, keep in touch with me. I'm going to call you on your birthday.
Okay, I will.
I promise.
Thank you.
It's already on my schedule to call you. It's on a
Thank you.
Sunday.
Okay.
So anybody that's listening and not asking questions is going to be just listening live right now in this very moment. We're going to listen to the replay. What
Okay.
would be the 3 takeaways that you would want them to take away if they never heard from you again? What would be the 3 things that you would want them to take away from our conversation?
I would want them to know that resilience and perseverance are their best allies. I would want them to know that no matter how low they fell, they need to stand up because they can make it. And I want to tell them not to let anybody deter them from meeting their dream or reaching their dream or getting to that goal.
It has been so great having you. Thank you so much for
Thank you
coming.
for inviting
I
me.
can't wait to
I
come out.
appreciate it.
I can't wait to come outside. I cannot wait to come outside. I was supposed to be in Baltimore this weekend.
Wow.
And I know that's close to your area.
Mhm.
So I can't wait to come outside to play so I can
Okay.
travel and get to meet some of my great guests that I've had. I've had guests from all over just about.
Absolutely. Mhm.
All right. So we didn't get to spend the whole 60 minutes, but we have 45, which is
Okay.
cool. So I'm going to end like I always do. But this one is special because I love you and I love my listeners like I always tell them because you never know there may have been somebody who didn't get a I love you. So I always
Exactly.
end saying I love you. I love you so much. Be safe. Be safe because when this is over, I'll be back to traveling, and because I
Okay.
like to go. Be authentic. Be whoever you are, not who people want you to be, not who people see you are. Be who you are in your heart. And thank you for letting me help you guys be great. You know, I try to give you all some good people, some good information, and some people that are inspiring. And Miss Sandra Stockton was certainly very, very inspiring, and she made me cry from happiness today. Oh, my God. And I will see you guys next week with my next special guest. And Miss Stockton, I'm going to have you on here again. Just keep me abreast, and we're going to keep in touch.
Okay. Thank you so much.
All right. You guys have a great week, and I'll see you next Saturday. Have a good day. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.